Welcome back to Sunrise Today. Yes, indeed, those three gentlemen join us this morning to kick off the program today in terms of our discussion. And here in our studios, we've got Ali Muhammad Ali, who is the Deputy Director, Media and Publicity for the APC Presidential Campaign Council. Sitting beside him is Dr. Tunde Olusunle, who is the Special Advisor, Media and Publicity, Atiku Presidential Campaign Organization. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, somebody. It's good morning here again.
Yeah, and then joining us virtually, Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi, who is the Deputy National Chairman of the Labour Party. Good morning, and thank you for joining us as well today on the program, Dr. Olufemi. I beg your pardon, Dr. Ayo. Now, I'm going to start with you, Dr. Ayo. This endorsement, I know you had several reactions. First time out. Yesterday as well. More streaming in. And for the Labour Party, how do you consider this, or first of all, is it more to you more than a pat on the back, or do you think it confers to the Labour Party any form of advantage whatsoever? Because we had almost everyone tell you, hey, it's just one vote, even if it supports you and such narrative. What is your impression of all of this?
For us, this is a big deal. It's not just a pat at the back or pat in the back. It's a big deal for us because the person of Obasanjo, as far as Nigeria is concerned, is not somebody to be wished away. He's an important figure. He's an elder statesman, a nationalist, somebody who have seen it all. He participated in he fought in the Civil War. He was the one that handed over power from military to civilian in 1979 or so. Even when people were not expecting him to do so, he did that. And you saw his coming back between 1999 to 2007, how he was able to set a very solid foundation for economic growth and development in Nigeria. He's a man of integrity and he's a man of his words. Of course, you remember when he advised the former President Jonathan Goodluck as to what to do. His boys then, the Jonathan boys then, joke with the advice, and we all saw what happened thereafter. Of course, he has written several letters to this administration, cautioning and warning. And they refused. We all can see the result of that. So if Obasanjo is endorsing the Labour Party, particularly our presidential candidate, it means he's saying something.
Yeah, but Dr. Olorunfemi, at the end of the day, for every politician, it boils down to votes. So when you say this is a big deal, given his pedigree, granted, but how is this deal so big or bigger than one vote?
Nigerians are watching. You are looking at those few Nigerians that have stolen our money and believe that they are so powerful, they have weaponized poverty, and they believe that money can do everything. No, Nigerians are departing from that narrative. They are watching. They are the ones feeling the pain. And Obasanjo is only joining them in feeling the pain. And he's telling them right now that, look, you can't continue to suffer in this manner. You don't have any reason to suffer in this manner. And therefore, I am giving this guy, a clean bill. I'm giving this guy an endorsement so that Nigerians will know that, look, from the benefit of hindsight, from the benefit of experience, I am now telling you that this person is better than every other candidate, particularly those two major, candidates from the two so-called major political parties. These are the people that gang up against us and threw this country into this mess.
All right. So, we heard a bit from. Just give us a minute. Let's also bring it back here in the studio. But Dr. Olusunle, you heard what he says about. He suggests, from the way it comes across, it will be tantamount to more than one, because it will perhaps galvanize several other people saying someone in the caliber of a former president endorsing somebody means there's much more to this one. What do you think?
Thank you, Chamberlain. Coincidentally, I served in the Obasanjo administration. I was his aide even before he declared to run in November 1998. So I know him pretty well. Perhaps if this endorsement was coming maybe before now, or perhaps if Obasanjo actually went out of his way to help in a leadership grooming and recruitment process, maybe things would have been a lot better. The endorsement of Obasanjo, Baba Adebanjo, Edwin Clark, fine. But, you know, what does this translate into? On the day of the election, everybody holds his PVC, goes to the polling unit, casts his votes. So, I mean, unfortunately, as we are today, it's not too many leaders that are going to have people queuing with them to the polling station. And, you know, if you've been watching the social media in the last few days, people have been critiquing Obasanjo and saying that, you know, when you supported the PDP years ago in your own polling units, the PDP did as much as maybe 20 votes, while the APC did 87. Meanwhile, on that occasion, you didn't even support the APC, you know, so they are trying to send the message home that it should be beyond the, you know, verbal acclaim. You know, it should be beyond verbal pronouncement. May this year, it will be 16 years since Obasanjo left office. And a lot has happened in between. New allegiances, you know, stronger convictions by the people. People have gone through a lot, become more single-mindedly, decided to take their own fate in their hands. So, yes, it is good for the optics, but I don't really know whether it's going to count much on polls day.
But having worked closely with him, you know, as his essay at some point, don't you think that it has its way, it has the potential to translate into much more than one vote, given his influence and those who he's able to persuade, even those at the highest level?
The point is that, you know, even years ago, Obasanjo already told me personally, and subsequently told Nigerians, that he was off partisan politics. So you are not in the position, for instance, he's not a card-carrying member of any party, hopefully. He has not been having meetings with people, no engagements of that sort. So who are even his own immediate constituents, so to say? So, you know, it's going to be very difficult. Yeah, we write in the papers, it's there, you and I, we went to school, oh, Baba has said this. But like I said again, you know, who is going to translate this on polls day? When I will go to my unit with my voter's card and do what I'm supposed to do.
It's interesting, you know, that the president hasn't spoken to any region or, will I say, place. What the demographic he's targeted are young people. And, you know, it would seem that so far so good. Young people seem to have, you know, they are very interested in this particular pose. And what he seems to be doing is trying to, you know, galvanize them even further. Some people say that is very strategic, because if you also look at the president's antecedents, or even how he came to office in 1999, it was not his immediate constituency that put him in office. The Southwest, he didn't really get the votes of the Southwest. So if he is speaking to young people and addressing that demography, you know, directly, don't you think that he has a very clear idea of who he's targeting and what he intends to achieve?
Maybe if the evangelism started before now, but the window we have between now and February 25 is too short.
It's not a window. He's not speaking into a vacuum. There's something already established.
That's what I'm telling you. The process of conscientization of the young people between now and that time is too small. We're supposed to have begun this process from him. You know, by now it should be the song on the street.
Isn't he endorsing what they already feel?
Well, yes. We don't know how generally they feel it. You see, because having a mammoth crowd around you, you know, doesn't translate to electoral capital, per se. You can have full rallies. Young people can come.
Everybody loves this.
Yes, you know, and then you see, I mean, like I was telling one of my friends, and you know, in many instances, people are paid appearance fee So I'm here, you know, I can wear, what's it called, the Labour Party dress today. And then you tell me that tomorrow there's going to be an APC rally elsewhere. And you give me a t-shirt I will wear.
Okay,
so he doesn't really work that way.
I read a piece today by Dr. Tunji Abayemi, who was saying he thought that President Obasanjo should have endorsed APC candidates because he thinks he's a better person to endorse as opposed to the Labour Party. So it means that many people actually crave that endorsement. So does it amount to something for you?
Well, it's true, like he said, you see, you worry about the optics. To some people, perception is reality. So the optics is good to see, to be seen that Obasanjo actually is in your support. What's after all endorsement is an expression of support. And given his once upon a time fame and influence, you will say, yeah, for the optics, it's good to be seen to have Obasanjo in your corner. But if you look at it at crunch time, he mentioned something fleetingly about electoral capital, electoral assets. How much of that, like they say, in Washington, there are no kids. They are only voters. So how much of that would translate into actual electoral asset?
I find it interesting that you say his once upon a time fame.
Yeah.
This is the next president that is still helping to end wars on the African continent.
Exactly.
And you say it's a once upon a time fame?
Externally, beyond the shores of Nigeria, you can dismiss Obasanjo with a wave of the hand. But back home, he's a paper tiger. He's a paper tiger. Like we said, in Washington, there are no kids, there are no children, there are only voters. And if you look at it in his backyard there, he mentioned that in his polling unit in 2019, when he supported, for once we're together here, when he supported Atiku Abubakar, the PDP literally gave them, the APC, I beg your pardon, before people begin to make out of this in the social media, the PDP was given a trouncing, a beating, literally, and the Labour Party scored 0 votes. So, but like you said, it should worry some people that he is talking, he's strategic. He's actually speaking to young people, and anywhere across the globe, young people are agents of change. We've seen that happen with the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, the Arab Spring in Egypt. So young people actually is the target there. And young people are largely unaware of the foxy nature of Obasanjo. Obasanjo oscillates between extremes.
But Mr. Lee, this is your perspective as somebody perhaps who's there, who knows some of this, but we know that the average voter perhaps may not necessarily be of this perspective. But the way that he has gone about this endorsement as an influential person in society, can we underestimate the importance of perhaps the emirs, those Stasis and the rest of them, even though sometimes they don't vote? They have only 1 vote. Can we then say, oh, no, we can't take them any seriously?
Certainly. You see, there are people shapers of public opinion, opinion molder. The pulpit, the traditional institution, they're very powerful in the process of shaping opinion and influencing opinion. But we're talking of specific demographics here. And then these young people...
But they can have the same influence on that demographic.
Sorry, Ali. Now, let me tell you, on election day, the young people, like Makwe reminded us, who are being targeted, they're going to be watching EPL, that election day. They're going to be playing set. I don't know whether you know set, football, 5-a-side, on the streets.
Some of them.
Many of them don't even have cards. Look at it. Look between Nigeria's estimated population and the number of people registered and the number of cards collected. Look at the vacuum. Hopefully, we are probably about 200 million people. The PDCs produce about 90-something. The youths are supposed to constitute more of this. Well, like I told you, they're going to be busy on election day.
But
some of them are going to be monitoring.
You've seen the latest election, PVC collection, registration figures, how the young people are the highest in that demographic.
Let's hope that they will go that day. We are the people that go to our villages. We are the people that the young people follow to the, I know them very well. So, I hope this is going to be a difference. And this vis-a-vis the fact that you may target this group, but what does it count for?
Okay, let's bring in Dr. Olorunfemi. Well, you heard the gentleman here. They think that at the end of the day, the young people who you're banking on may not actually be bankable on election day. But before election day, it may well be the same. But they're just telling you basically, don't bank on this.
I won't be surprised, and I believe, and I know that you will also not be surprised. They are representing the two political parties that have put us into this mess, and they know how they have been getting to power. They believe in the power of money. They believe in the power of violence. They don't even believe that the youth has their own head to use. You see, Obasanjo is just like one of them agree. Obasanjo is an important figure. And it's not also true that Obasanjo doesn't have the kind of followership that would make this thing to happen. It's not true. You know, up until 2015, when that manipulated, election took place, Obasanjo has been winning the Southwest. All true and true. So we all know what happened pre-2015, how this country was sold to bandits just to get power. We know all of these things, and it's between the two of them. So Nigerians are watching, and the youths are tired of all of this. So we hold the endorsement of Obasanjo in high esteem.
But Dr. Lorafemi, clarify what you mean by it was sold to bandits and it's between two of them.
Oh, what happened in 2011? When did you start receiving bombs in this country? Who said that Nigeria will be ungovernable? The bandits in the forest, who brought them? I have been kidnapped. Do
you have it on good authority as to who brought them? How do you substantiate
I have been kidnapped in Kaduna. I have been with them in the forest. And I know what these guys are up to and what they are doing. Why are they in Zamfara? Why are they in Kaduna? Now they are in my village. I'm talking to you from Ajoa. They are in my village. They have surrounded us here simply because they have identified some mineral resources in this place. Who brought these people? Okay, they are talking about deploying technology to fight insurgency in the southeast. Why not in the north? Why not in the northwest? Who are the people doing all of this? Why are they not together in 2014? Why are they not together in 2013?
We don't have that information which you have, so we'll appreciate it.
They were together in 2013. They were together in 2014. They were together in 2012. And you saw what happened in this country. Where is Kabiru Sokoto today? The person that bombed Mandala, Nyanya, who was arrested. Where is he? Don't let us be joking with our nation. Everybody will die one day.
All right, let me bring my colleagues from Lagos. They have questions for all of you as well. Go.
Well, let me begin. Thank you, Chamberlain. Let me begin with the guests in the Abuja studio with you there, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to speak with Mr. Mohammed Ali. Now, one of the issues for me that is critical is exactly how we translate all of these conversations into development for the country. The endorsements or no endorsements, as everyone has identified, is one man, one vote at the end of the day. The influence of the dignitaries, it is quite salient. But what is important for people, and beginning with you, Mr. Ali, is it is the gale of displeasure with the APC government today will make it very, very difficult for anyone to be persuaded that the APC government deserves to continue in government after now. And talking about education, talking about health, talking about the economy, talking about security or insecurity, going by some of the things that you just heard Mr. Olushide mention. So one wonders, why should Nigerians believe a word that anyone from the APC would say, given all the experiences that people have had over almost 8 years now?
Well, you see, I think it's the matter of perspective. Of course, a lot of people would say, what's your conclusion now? Why would people believe the APC? It depends. Depends on how you look at it. Because I have said this over and over again. People are looking at the effect of the years of rot which the APC has been trying to reverse in the last 7 years. And if you look at even the issue of security, which has been in the front burner since the APC took charge in 2015, after all, the APC campaigned on a three-pronged premise: insecurity, corruption, and the economy. Now, take that lingering issue of insecurity. In the past, I have said it, I think, a couple of weeks ago, here in this program, that in the past it was so common to see territories being annexed, foreign flags hoisted, literally, and republics declared. I'm using almost the exact words I used a couple of weeks ago. Now that is a thing of the past, really. Virtually all our territories annexed before 2015 have been freed. And if you look at it again, the raging insecurity which has lingered is even sub-regional. What I mean, the whole of the West African sub-region is assailed by insecurity, largely on account of what's happening elsewhere. The Sahel, so Nigeria is not insulated. And given the problem we've had of decayed arsenal that cannot really meet the existing security challenges, the numerical inadequacy of the security forces, which since the government of APC took over has been fighting literally tooth and nail to revamp the armed forces, to retool the armed forces,
all of these things that you have said, just 1 second, if you can hear me. All of these things that you have said, they are part of the things that the APC campaigned with in 2014 into 2015 when the elections held. You knew all of these problems were there. You promised, made very many promises to Nigerians, and Nigerians thought, okay, since you guys are different from the PDP, you've never been at the center before, let's give you a chance. But things seem to have been a lot worse now than it was under you. We need to take a break now. When we return, we'll look at some of those items, one after the other, and you might have a number of responses to them. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Well, let me come to you, Dr. Olushile. I mean, you've been in government before, and you speaking still with the PDP. Let me talk to you about education. You know, I did a count, and between 1999 and 2011, 2012, thereabout, ASU went on strike more than 10 times. Now, that's all PDP government. So one wonders, I mean, I think it was even up to 2013. So one wonders, if the PDP comes back to power with the same machinery and artillery that you had, what's the assurance we have that our education will move any further than it already did?
Thank you for that question. I hope you remember, too, that in recent Nigerian history, it's the PDP that has shown the most support and commitment to education. The Obasanjo government started the UBE scheme, Universal Basic Education. The Jonathan government built the Almajiri schools, started about 8-10 federal universities, and you know, my own state where I come from is a beneficiary. That tells you something about the seriousness that the PDP attaches to education. Our presidential candidate himself, Atiku Abubakar, is an education proprietor, if you say that, if you want to put it like that. Because, I mean, he has a chain of schools, you know, beginning from the crèche all the way to the university. So he's somebody who is very cognizant about the education of this country. The PDP has never kicked around the issue of education. Unfortunately, in the outgoing dispensation, the APC government holds the record of having the longest, university teacher strike that we ever had, about 8 months. When we were in school, that was a whole 2 semesters lost, a whole session lost. But we have to be different, and we've shown in the past that the PDP can do much better.
Well, clearly, you haven't spoken to the issue specifically about ASU. I say that specifically because everyone believes that the university level is the think tank of the nation. Usually, time past, that is where most governments got ministers from and where policies for development in the country usually originated from. Now, you haven't spoken to how we'll ensure. You've spoken
Sorry,
to
you were a bit low when you asked that question.
Okay.
So, but now I'll pick it that you're talking about ASU.
Yes.
I think part of the problem we had within the last or the outgoing government is a question of hands-on administration. Jonathan
during the PDP government
sacrificed the sleep.
Just a second.
For days.
Just 1 second, Dr. Lushele. During the PDP reign, when PDP was in government, ASU went on strike more than 10 times between 1999 and 2013, 2014, thereabout. So what's the assurance we have that that will not be repeated?
It will not be repeated, because we are going to have a government that can engage, that is not, afraid or shy to speak with the teachers. What would have stopped a president, for instance, to have sat with the university teachers, like Jonathan did, and quelled the very last strike under him? But here we found that, meetings were tossed between the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Education, before the National Assembly, decided to look in. We didn't need that rigmarole, So, we are coming, our government is going to be one that will be, is going to be hands-on, and is going to be one that can engage, without depending on proxies.
Well, you've given the example of one president, and the PDP had 3. And it was the first and the second, and nothing. We still had all of these cases: 1999, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2005, 2006, 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. ASU went on strike all those years, way more than it did under this administration. So when you say that the PDP is going to have a hands-on government, does that mean you didn't have a hands-on government at the time? What's going to be different now that you didn't do then?
Engagement, perception, appreciation of the situation. The issues are clearer now. University teachers don't want to stay at home because they want to be lazy. The lecture halls have to be fixed. The laboratories have to be fixed. The libraries have to be fixed. The hostels have to be put in order. These are the things that we know that consciously, we have to put in place. The PDP has learned from his own, mistakes in the past, and things are bound to be different now.
Dr. Olorunfemi, let me now come to you. I'd want us to look holistically at the endorsement of the former information minister and Niger Delta leader of your candidate. Don't you see some form of inconsistency there? In the last general and presidential election, Dr. Clark gave his support to the PDP candidate. And one of the reasons adduced at that time was because former president and candidate at that time, Atiku Abubakar, was the only one committed to restructuring. He, in fact, said all the candidates were interviewed, and it was only Mr. Atiku at the time that, advanced the cause of restructuring. But this time we see that the only candidate, speaking more vigorously than others about restructuring, about the unity of the country, is the PDP candidate. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, first and foremost, let me talk briefly about education. Our own approach to solving incessant strike is robust industrial relation engagement. Industrial relation in itself, the tripod, we are going to overhaul it in such a system that, such a way that there will be no strike at all. We are going to be so proactive and engage trade union organizations on regular basis through this corporate governance approach. So we have our own model of resolving incessant strikes in our universities. And of course, some of us, like me in particular, I have a college of education that is tuition free. So we are not talking about the kind of education where the children of the poor cannot go to. The college of education in my town here, in Ajowa here, First Med College of Education, is tuition free. And we have graduated more than 3 sets of students, sets. So talking about education is not a big deal. When Nigerians decide in 2023 to give power to the Labour Party, we are the one that wears the shoes. We know where it pinches, and we are going to go there, right there, and put oil in it. Back to your question. It's not true that it is only the PDP that is talking about restructuring. It is very, very serious as far as Labour Party is concerned. The issue of insecurity in this country can only be resolved through, decentralization of our police system. Of course, that is restructuring, and we've been talking about production, moving away from sharing formula to production formula. That is restructuring. A situation whereby you give every state the opportunity to develop at their own pace, and there will be competition. So it's not true that it is only PDP that is talking about restructuring. Labour Party is fully committed to restructuring this country economically, politically, name it.
Mark you, Dr. Olorunfemi, I said more vigorously than others. I didn't say it's only the PDP candidate talking about restructuring. But even at that, okay. Yes, your candidate has also, talked in that regard as well. But even at that, there is this concern that the Labour Party is a new kid on the block, and as such may not have the prerequisite support at the level of the legislature if elected. So if at all the Labour Party has a commitment to restructuring, how is it going to get that support that is needed to implement any form of restructuring?
The legislators are also representing their people, and they want good governance. And when we are able to prove to them what they stand to gain as far as restructuring is concerned, they will key into it. Are you telling me that Adamawa cannot fill the whole of West Africa? We keep money right there inside our ground, inside the soil, and we are not utilizing it. People are becoming lazy because they don't even know. They don't know what they have. It is more dangerous for you to be an ego, and you flock with hens. You will never fly. An eagle will always fly. So if an eagle is mixing up with fowls, in the house, all the eagle need to do is a kind of threat that will make it to fly, or hear a voice in the sky that resembles his own. He will make an attempt.
Dr. Olorunfemi, I wonder if you're following the conversation on constitution review and how the document is being held back, according to the Constitution Committee,
yes.
By governors because of over the issue of local government autonomy. How will the Labour Party solve that problem, for instance, without the required numbers of its own representatives at the National Assembly level?
Yeah, we will not just get there today and say we want to effect it today. We have to engage. We have to engage beyond lobbying. We have to engage from the grassroots. It's going to be bottom-top approach. By the time we start from the bottom and, from the various community, town hall meetings and all of that, they will know the benefit in what we are trying to do. That is actually to their own, is to their own benefit. And once they discover that, there's something here that we are going to benefit, serious thing that we are going to benefit, that will take us out of where we were, a situation whereby the few elites were the one dominating a particular state. When they realize that, the state will actually return back to us, they will tell their legislators what to do.
Well,
truly they are represented.
Let me stick with you for a bit, Dr. Olorunfemi. I mean, you spoke about the other time about the fact that education, your plans, and all those things. Back in time when your principal, former Governor Peter Obi, who was in government, he was accused by ASU of being the one to be blamed for the lingering strike in the Southeast at the time. And the teachers and doctors were on strike for 1 full year. And here you are saying, I mean, there's going to be engagement and all of that. It took a year. How will we know it won't happen again?
You just use the word in the Southeast. But in his own state, there was no strike. How do you explain? In his own state, the university there, even up to now, has not gone on strike.
There was a strike in Anambra State at the time. That's why his name was mentioned.
Okay, but he was able to resolve it, and since then, no more strike.
It took a year.
As we speak. But he was able to resolve it. And finally, no more strike. Compare that to a situation whereby over the years, up till now, we are still experiencing strike in the country. He solved his own problem. So you should ask him how he was able to solve the problem. Of course, he will tell you, we are going to deploy the same machinery. And that is what I'm telling you now. Constructive engagement, robust industrial relation activity program, collective bargaining, town hall meetings.
Strike have to go on for a full year. A full year is a long time in the life of young people. Why did it have to go on for a full year?
Okay, we had an experience recently for a full, in fact, 2 academic sessions. The problem has not been solved. Instead, what they have done is divide and rule. ASU is still bleeding. The problem is still there. But in his own case, you call it 1 year. Whether it is 1 year or not, I don't know. But you call it 1 year. But since then, there have never been any strike in that university up to as we speak. How many years? So even the subsequent government are benefiting from what he did. And up to now, no strike in that university. So what do you think?
Interesting to continue with you, Dr. Olorunfemi, especially because we know that politicians, they campaign in poetry, but oftentimes have to govern in prose. Let me come to you, my good sir, here. The G5 governors continue to be a matter of concern for the PDP, and I do not know how much of a concern it is for you. I mean, watching what is happening within the PDP. We saw yesterday attempts by the River State governor to clarify something that he had said. He had been reported as mocking the presidential candidate of your party, and he came out to refute that he wasn't mocking, that he was only concerned for the PDP. But for some people, they think that there's been so much water under the bridge right now that even if reconciliation were to work, do you think your party will be able to pull together for the forthcoming elections?
I believe we will. And I want to assure you that engagement is a continuous process. We will have to keep talking to ourselves, much as the G5 has probably drawn a line. Because there are peculiarities from one political environment to the other. The River State governor, speaks in a particular way because by May 29, he's going to be out of office. His other 4 colleagues have elections to run. The Abia governor wants to go to the Senate. The Enugu governor wants to go to the Senate. The Benue governor wants to go to the Senate, while Governor Makinde of Oyo State wants to run a second term. So people are going to be guided by this. They know among them, for instance, that it is too late in the day to jump ship. This same Wike has spoken time and again that he will remain within his party and solve the issues. So, we are following. We are sleepless, but not sleepless, because engagement, rapprochement, is regularly being cultivated.
Isn't that over? Isn't that window closed already? Because we understand that they'll be going to Ibadan to say who they eventually are supporting. Yeah,
fine. You see, people, sometimes we want to narrow, or sometimes we want to exaggerate, with all due respect, the influence of, single individuals who are governors. In River State, for instance, the cream of the political elite. Secondus, Sekibo, Lee Maiba, Austin Okpara, all of them are in PDP. They are from different parts of the state. They have their own constituents. And everybody is going to go to the election that day, you know, to work and vote for his own. The governor is there, yes. He's high up there. He has the state machinery. He has the resources. But it is not all the time that he can sit on people's throats and get them to do what you are going to do. Elsewhere, the Abia State governor has a fight on his hands. And he has to manage it properly. He wants to go to the Senate. And he has kicked out, you know, technically, the incumbent who wants to, you know, run another term, talking about Einaya Abaribe. And Abaribe has now moved to Abga. There's going to be a fight there. Ikpazu has a lot on his plate there. And, you know, he has also offended his people because he has now violated the rotational template for governorship enthroned in his state. The template was from the northern part of the state to the south. He's an outgoing south who seeks to install a new southern person. There are these domestic peculiarities. And, you know, these things are going to count on. Senator Suswan, eminent past governor of Benue State, made the proclamation the other day that he remains PDP as a serving senator, that the senator representing Zone C in Benue, Abamoro, remains PDP, you know, and they want to go to this election to work for their party. The governor, by the way, in that same instance, wants to run for election. So he has his own job also cut out. So, you know, these things, the governors...
They're dynamic. But if we're to go with the statement, I mean, even though I'm going to come to you very shortly to see what we can read of that, the governor of Benue State has not minced words with who he is supporting. In fact, that's why their declaration is going to be quite interesting if they're able to agree on a candidate. The governor of Benue State has not minced words with his support, his open support for the candidacy of the Labour Party presidential candidate. So I'm wondering, how does this eventually, if there's going to be any reconciliation happening, how is this going to affect, you know, how the PDP perceives this G5 governors who say they're going to remain within the PDP?
Well, you see, we're talking again about the issue of endorsement, which we started this program discussion with. You know, it is within the governor's democratic rights to decide to support who he wants to support. But if we check the total number of PVCs collected in that state, you know, how many of these people are really sure, one, will turn up for the election, two, will vote for a preferred candidate?
Is that what you're banking on?
No,
that people, wouldn't turn up?
Let me come back again. I was director of information to the late Abubakar Audu in Kogi State in 1992. NRC was incumbent then, Nigerian National Republican NRC
Republican
Convention. You know, and you see, the incumbency factor was supposed to play. The SDP, which was supposed to be the weaker party in the state, actually now won the election there. And 6,000 civil servants were sacked because it was believed that they instigated the people. There are dynamics. And, you know, there are no hard and fast rules about this. The Ibadan declaration will be made. People will go back home and go and work. And, you know, we'll take it off from there.
Well, your party is hoping that that G5 declaration will work in its favor. I mean, even though it's not clear what we should believe, there was this rumor about a meeting. There's been a denial of the meeting. There are warnings to, say, the governor of Oyo State now, if he should support the candidacy of your presidential candidate. You know, there are questions as to how all of that will affect. So it's still the issue of endorsements. Are you really looking to the support of the G5 governors?
Well, I think that G5 governors, they have, in a way, helped our cause very well. The fact that there is a discord in that house, the house of the PDP, I think is sufficient, in a way, support for the APC. Because the more, I had wished they would...
So you don't even need their, need their endorsement?
You see, look, the rancor there is enough to, it has thrown spanner in the works of the presidential candidate of the PDP. Because you are going into the contest progressively weakened. in the past...
They don't think so. You just heard his analysis.
Well, the optics, let's go back again to the optics. Because when you have 16 governors or thereabout, and 5 of them are recalcitrant, they are on one side. The optics is going to affect, and the leader of the PAC has made his intention very clear that he's not going to work for the PDP. It's clear. Though he has been maybe sitting on the fence, but you could see that from his body language, he's crossed the Rubicon, literally, gone beyond the point of reconciliation. So if they decide, how will that work out? For example, because like they say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We go into a duel, and already we have insiders who are at discord. There is a Tower of Babel in the PDP. In the past, the APC is going into the election progressively stronger, crossing its T's and
some
dotting
people
its
will say,
I's.
as it is in the PDP, so also is it in the APC. Because since the primaries of the APC, you know, major contestants who lost the presidential primaries, talk about the former governor of Rivers State, Governor Rotimi Amechi. We haven't seen him anywhere in the campaign trail of your candidate. The vice president of the country, as we currently speak, there's been one meeting, but it's unclear what his role is, considering also the fact that he ran, and he was also appealing to the same demographic, which the Labour Party candidate seems to also have a significant chunk of. So within your own house, can you really say that, oh, all is well, all is tidy, especially since you are now courting or you're hoping to, because it's also the governor of Lagos visit, the governor of Rivers, etc. There have been questions as to, you know, who precisely is the APC looking at within Rivers to be able to deliver the votes? Is it the governor of Rivers State or the former governor of Rivers State, who is a member of its own political party?
Well, let me correct that impression. Amechi was actually at the flag of the presidential campaign in Plateau State. And the fact that he's not being visibly seen around does not mean that he's at war with the president.
You acknowledge the fact, you understand what it is.
As for the vice president, I think that has been explained in the past, that the issue of government, not too long ago, the presidential candidate actually received the vice president in audience. They shared moments of broke cola, so to say. Cola not, they broke cola not, and so to say. So, unlike the PDP, of course, you're dealing with people. Some people may take a while.
You say the issue hasn't been resolved. I mean, and the president wanted him to handle, issue of governance. We saw that explanation. Some people say it was very watery. But, you know, we've since seen that the president has been around. The president has been attending to matters of state. So what exactly is the excuse for the vice president not to be visibly seen in the campaign of your presidential candidate?
Well, you see, the thing, I have explained this. Sometimes, you know, people would try to make like this now because there are no issues. As far as we're concerned, the vice president, the sitting vice president, is at home with the presidential candidate of the APC. So there is no conflict whatsoever. But yes, at a moment of context, there will be victors, there will be vanquished. And the vanquished and the victors...
Gentlemen,
yes.
Pardon me, we need to talk about the economy as we wind down, for all of you now, because at the end of the day, the people would like to know how these politicians are going to improve our lives, for goodness sakes. Now, for the APC, you know that people vote political parties, not necessarily the individuals. At least that is what is going to be on the ballot to that extent. Now, for this period that we're in now, inflation has risen to 17-year high. That's about, look at that, 21.47%. 10 consecutive months from November 2021 to 2022, over way higher than it's ever been. And then if you look to May 2016, fuel price was 87 naira per litre. And then it was then raised to 145 naira, 66.67%, higher than it. I mean, this government has had the highest of the fuel price increases over time. So people look at these figures and they ask themselves, though, how has their lives been any better? Why should they stick with your party? What is your party going to do to improve their lives that you've not been able to do in the last 7-8 years now?
Well, Well, the economy would have been better managed. I've always said this. But given global reality, perhaps we're even slightly, in a way, better off than some of our neighboring West African countries. If you go to neighboring Ghana or Benin Republic, the indices there are a lot higher. But that's not excusing the state of the economy, the shortcomings, the failure to manage the economy better. But given the challenges we have, I'm not making any excuses. It's something that we should take the blame, that the economy would have been better managed. But the Nigerian economy is not insulated from the global economy, an important economy. They say Nigeria's economy is the biggest on the continent. Is that what you tell the electorate? No. I'm trying to make a case. But at the same time, look, it's an economy that operates at the level of consumption. Cannot be said to be the biggest on the continent. But look at the master plan of the INC, hopefully our presidential candidate. Some of these gaps, noticeable gaps, we've seen will be. What should we expect? Is the fuel price going to go lower? Is inflation going to go lower? Will the price of food, stocks, cement, whatever, is it going to go lower when it takes over? The thing is, you also have to, the economy is not independent of global factors, vagaries, especially an economy like ours that is solely relying on one single commodity, oil. The global oil market is very unstable. Right now, it's on the high, on the rise, fine, but at the time, oil that is native to us, we cannot refine it at cheaper cost. We cannot refine it because still, I'm not passing the buck here. I'm accepting that, look, the last couple of years, that the economy, the refinery should have been put in, if you like, in order. But you look at so many other factors, piracy, the sabotage, but then the buck ultimately stops on the APC's decks because it promised to handle that. The economy, really, I'm not proud of the fact that the economy has not been better. It could have been better managed. But again, here is the fact that it's not insulated from the vigorous elsewhere. Do you blame the PDP now? In Europe and all other places, the economy, they are facing similar problems of supply and strategies. What should we expect from your party?
Well, let me just take you back. We ran a very robust economy under the Obasanjo government. It was so rosy that we even paid off all of Nigeria's debts. But you find that what we experienced within the last 7.5 years. Did we pay off or we negotiated? Yes, we did, but we exited kind of, generally. Okay. And of course, the records that we left. Under Jonathan, Nigeria became the largest economy, in terms of GDP on the continent. And look at where we are falling back now. These are the kind of things we have done our own study. Yeah, but the inflation rate was also still high at some point for 10 consecutive months. And then it was even the highest at that time, even though all highs were at single digits. Yeah, we raised that yesterday as well. Okay. All right. So, like I was saying, we are coming in now with, we want to do better than where the APC is and even better our records. So what should the people expect in terms of the economy? How will it benefit the average person? It's going to be more humane, because we feel the pinch as well. From 8,000 naira that we used to buy rice under the PDP dispensation. I'm buying rice now in my house for 50,000 naira. Do we expect to buy it lower if the PDP wins? Absolutely. Because we want to run not just a verbally populist administration, but pragmatically, substantially humane and human-faced government. All right, Dr. Olorunfemi, I know your principle says you will turn the country from consumption to production. So perhaps if you could give us some examples of the how bit of this, how he plans to do this.
First and foremost, the President Obasanjo that my brother mentioned here has endorsed Labour Party. And that means that he believes that it is only Labour Party that can do all of those good things that he did. And that is why we are endorsed. He didn't endorse PDP. So I just want to clarify that. Yes, production. Can anybody explain to Nigerians why we have crude and yet we are importing PMS? Why? That is what I call a prodigal. Okay? So
yeah.
What is the use of modular refineries? Of course,
yeah,
some people.
I asked how as we wind down. So if you could just briefly tell us how, so we can just go ahead.
Court for these guys polluting the creek, polluting the water, using illegal means of producing AGO, then we can as well organize them under this modular refinery structure, organize them into the production of AGO. And the remaining byproducts will be sent to various areas where it will be needed. And therefore, you will now have to crash the price of AGO in such a manner that in terms of production, the factory will have cheaper AGO, in terms of energy. Okay, it will be made available for most of our factories that are dead. Number two, you will have, in terms of movement, movement of goods and services. Majority of Nigeria, if you go to Israel, they are not using vehicles driven by PMS, it's AGO. So we can actually use this modular means of production of AGO to bombard, to flood the market of Nigeria with AGO for ease of transportation. That is on one side.
You can or you will.
We will. That's exactly what we are going to do. And
all right, Dr. Olorunfemi. All right, Dr. Olorunfemi. I'm afraid we're completely out of time on this one. Pardon us on that one, Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi. He's Deputy National Chairman. Oh, sorry, Dr. Olorunfemi. There's this information circulating out there about your National Chairman absconding with some funds. Is it true? Where is he at the moment?
It's not true at all.
But you heard it, have you?
Eh?
Did you hear that narrative?
Yeah, actually, I'm hearing that from you for the first time.
Okay.
I'm hearing, and that's why I say it can't be true, because I was with my national chairman on phone as at this morning.
So he's in the country at the moment.
Of course, I'm in my village now. All of us are spread all over the place. I'm in my village. I'm in Ojowa Akoko, working.
All right, just need to clarify that one out there so that everyone can know. All right, Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi, Deputy National Chairman of the Labour Party. And then Ali Mohammed Ali, Deputy Director, Media and Publicity, APC Presidential Campaign Council. And Dr. Tunde Olusunle is a Special Advisor, Media and Publicity for Atiku Presidential Campaign Organization. What do they call it, Atiku sometimes? It's the same thing, Atiku, Okowa, PDP, whichever one.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming on.
Thank you,
wish you all the best.
Thank you,
Mope, for having us.
All right, we'll talk about the budget in just a moment. Stay with us.